Okay, so today we're going to look at multiplying mixed numbers, and I'm going to show you two different ways to do it. And I'm not really going to tell you which way is better or which one you should use. I'm going to let you explore it yourself, and you might be able to figure out which one is better when, and when one might be more useful than the other. I'm going to show you the two ways. The first way is a traditional way, which relies on turning our mixed fractions into improper fractions. So here we have a question where we have 8.5 and 10 1/4. And just like we did when we added mixed numbers, I'm going to turn these into improper fractions. So I'm not going to go over the details because we did that in the first lesson. I'm not going to go over that again, but basically 8.5 becomes 17/2. 10 1/4, that's 41/4. If you're not sure how to do this, go back to the very first lesson so we can talk about how we converted those. So now we're multiplying two fractions, just like we did in the last lesson. So 17 times 41. Oh, can't do that off the top of my head. Yes, I can. It's 697. I'll pretend I did that off the top of my head. And then 2 times 4, that's 8. So your answer is 697/8. These are quite ugly numbers to try and work with, but we still have to simplify this. So 697 divided by 8, how many times does it go, and then what's the remainder? We turn this into a mixed number again. Our final answer will be 87 1/8. All right. So that's the first way we do it. So just to recap, what we do is we convert each mixed number to an improper fraction, multiply like we did with regular fractions, and then if we have any simplification or turning back to a mixed number, we do that. I'm going to show you a different way of solving this question, and it relies on drawing a square here. So here we have a little grid, and we're going to multiply the two numbers, and I'm going to put one number here and one number here. And the reason why I've split it into a 2 by 2 grid is I'm going to separate it into the whole number and the fraction. The whole number and the fraction. So here I'm going to put the first number, 8, and the 1/2. I'm going to separate it down here. So it's 8 1/2. And then over on this side, I'm going to put 10 1/4. So that's going to be 10, and that's going to be 1/4. And now, what this grid is going to be is it's going to be a multiplication grid. I'm going to multiply each pair of numbers. So I'm going to multiply 8 by 10. And I get 80. So I put it here. Then I'm going to multiply 8 by 1/4. So 8 times 1/4, or 1/4 of 8, if you will. You do that. That's 2. And then 1/2 times 10, half of 10. Well, half of 10 is 5. And then the last one, 1/2 times 1/4. So 1/2 times 1/4 is 1/8. Okay, so I've multiplied every number in the grid, every row with every column. These four numbers now that I've got, I'm going to add them together. 80 plus 2 plus 5 plus 1/8. 80 plus 2 is 82, plus 5 is 87, plus 1/8 is 87 1/8. Now, in this particular case, it was easier to use the grid. That's not always going to be the case. Sometimes using the grid might actually be harder, and the other method might be easier. I'm going to leave you to figure out when to use the grid and when to use the other method, but you should know that there are multiple ways of solving problems. All right, next time we look at division. See you then.